Welcome back, Camden Catholic. We're going to finish up what we started today in class. We're going to kind of finish the Archaic period in Greece and the rise of Sparta and Athens and what defined them as city-states. So, I know some of you have probably already seen this because we got a little ahead in a couple of my other classes, but let's go ahead and start where we left off, I think in 5th period. So, Athens, ruled by its people, reformed by its government reformer Solon, and it also is going to start as an aristocracy, all right? So, Athens started as an aristocracy, which is wealthy landowners in charge. Wealth is going to grow very rapidly. And then, of course, we talked about this in class. I'm moving fast through this stuff, so catch up, all right? Solon would change the government forever. He was appointed chief official in 594 BC. He's considered the father of modern-day government. He outlawed debt slavery and pushed Athens toward democracy with the developments of things like voting and the idea of citizens choosing their elected officials. So, he's going to be overthrown by tyrants, all right? A tyrant is, again, a person who gains power through force. We talked about this in several other classes. And he's going to develop the first legislature, which is a lawmaking group that debated laws. Athenian women could not participate in politics, ran the entire house, though, and women were essential for many religious rituals. The youth in Athens were very, very highly educated. Boys attended schools if their family could afford it, and that is where they learned to read, write, study music. Every Athenian boy was required to play something, because if we jump back right here, as you can tell, there's a young man over here playing what looks like a lap harp. So, memorized poetry. They had to take public speaking courses, and they received some, but very little, military training, all right? So, religion, all right? This is very easy. This is something you probably already know. Archaic Greeks believed all gods lived on a mountain in northern Greece called Mount Olympus. To discover the will of the gods, people talked to oracles, priests and priestesses that were supposed to be able to speak with the gods. Myths are going to eventually replace science, and they actually replaced the idea of explaining the natural world using scientific education. So, that is Olympus right there. New warfare methods are going to come in and shape Greece as well. Right here is the Spartan phalanx. Spartans are both Athenians and Spartans are going to develop iron weapons, shields, and armor. So, as you can see right here, that's a Spartan hoplite that is actually a Spartan regular soldier. You can tell that his armor is actually made of a combination of iron and leather, and that he also has a large forged shield and a metal-tipped spear as well. So, the phalanx is a massive tactical formation of heavily armored soldiers. This is going to be mainly used for the Spartans. As you can see right here, this is what the phalanx looked like. So you have row upon row of Greek soldier, right? And then each man has a spear, and then each man's spear is just slightly longer than the rest of them. So this way, if one man up front goes down, the next one moves forward. They moved as one large unit. Very, very hard to stop. The city-states are going to begin to grow and give way to the very first Western society, as you can see here. Now, we're going to get into what happened, though. As these city-states grow, somebody look at this map and tell me, who are they going to end up in conflict with very, very quickly? It's exactly right, Clarence. Right over here, the Persian Empire, right? So let's jump to this other presentation real fast, and then we'll get started with the early classical period defined by the Persian Wars, all right? So, here we go. The classical period, right? From 500 to 338 BC. This is the period that followed the extreme development of Athens and Sparta. So when Athens and Sparta rose to their power and were autonomous city-states ready to be able to wage war, the period followed was the classical period. The Archaic period, or this is the period that followed. It's characterized by a major development in war, art, and philosophy, and religion as well. But first thing that's going to happen is the Persian Wars. Now, despite their cultural ties, the Greek city-states were often in conflict with one another. This is mainly because, what did we talk about in class today? Did Spartans like to talk to Athens? No, they kept themselves very isolated, even to the point where they didn't want to trade with anyone. So this is going to create a lot of hostilities. Now, the threat of the powerful Persian Empire, though, is going to unite the Greek city-states for a time, so they can actually defeat and destroy this incoming invasion. So, the First Persian War is in 546 BC, okay? So, I know this sounds about 50 years before where you think the classical period is, but literally, the victory of the Greek... Oh, I don't want to give anything away, sorry. But this war is what gave way to the classical period. You're talking about that big word, what did I say, that my favorite word the other day is? Good job, Joe. I heard you, Mr. Joe Barr. Cultural diffusion, right? When you come into contact with other cultures through war and trade, you end up exchanging cultural ties. So, Persia, which was the most dominant empire at the time, is going to fight against little old new Greece, and Greece is going to actually take a lot of great ideas from them. It's going to influence their art, their culture, their religion, their philosophy, and make them a very powerful and the very first powerful Western society. So, the cause of the First Persian War was the Persian Empire kept conquering and kept expanding. Now, they were already in northern Africa. They were all the way over as far east as northern India. Wow, that's a big ways, right? They're going to conquer a very small Greek city-state called Ionia, all right? Now, in response, the Ionians are going to refuse to pay taxes, and they're going to begin to rebel. So, secretly, the Athenians are going to begin to send weapons and a ship to aid that rebellion, because the Athenians, being as intelligent as they are, realize that Persia is knocking on their doorstep. Sparta's not nearly as worried, because Sparta is all the way down on Peloponnese, whereas Athens is actually right next door to Turkey. So, now, the result of the First Persian War is Darius I is going to crush the rebellion and actually leave Athens alone. So, in our win-loss column, Persia's got one win. Greece is kind of in the negative right now. So, however, the second Persian War is going to originate from this. So let's zoom in on that. Yeah, you like that, didn't you? Check that out. You didn't see that coming. Wait, look real quick. So, right here is a Greek soldier. You can tell by the mythological Pegasus that's on his shield as well as what he's wearing. And then this right here is, of course, a Persian soldier. You can tell by what he's wearing as well. Now, this is what I'm talking about, that cultural diffusion kind of thing. They're going to end up, when you fight against another group, you end up exchanging really good ideas. So, cause of the Second Persian War was revenge for Athenian interference, right? So, apparently Darius' servant kept telling him, Master, remember the Athenians. Every day. He would tell him this every day. Now, I don't know about y'all, but athletes in here, y'all ever lost a big game or lost a pickup game and your buddy won't ever let you forget it? Pisses you off, right? So, this is going to enrage Darius, and he's going to continue to get very upset, and it's going to be the beginning of the Second Persian War, when Persia actually attempts to conquer Greece, right? Big mistake. Now, one of the major battles is the Battle of Marathon. Outnumbered, the Greeks defeated the Persians. There were 2,000 Greeks. There were over 10,000 Persians. Those 2,000 Greeks destroyed 6,400 of them, right? Now, this is also where we get the idea of the marathon race, right? Anybody know what this guy's name is? No? It's close, Anthony, all right? It's very, very close, but his name is actually Philippides. Now, wow, I misspelled his name. But Philippides is going to carry a message of victory home to Athens right after the Battle of Marathon, because we got to tell our leaders that we won, right? So he actually ran 26 miles, which is the distance of a marathon. Well, it's actually 26.2 miles. And he said, "Rejoice, we have conquered." But then after running 26 miles, Philippides fell down dead in front of the Athenian Archon. So, it's actually like a really cool story, though. Now, the results of the Second Persian War. The Athenians built a fleet of ships that were faster and prepared for another attack. And then Athens is going to ask other city-states to form the very first city-state alliance. This is going to help unify Greece under a banner of war. Now, this is the first time in history this has ever been seen. Do we still take Athens' influence from the Second Persian War? Of course we do. Look at the United Nations. We have allies all over the world now. So, right here is actually one of the Athenian warships. Now, what you can't see is underneath it. The reason why these were so effective, underneath, right here in the front, is a large metal tip. And what they would actually do is ram other ships, pop a hole in it, sink them, right? So the Persians weren't very well prepared for that. Now, the Third Persian War, okay? The cause of that is because Persians wanted revenge, and they're going to come straight after Athens, right? By land and by sea. So, now who do you think they're going to run into if they're going by land? They made a big, big mistake. They ran into the Spartans, right? The Battle of Thermopylae, led by King Leonidas, because Leonidas realized that if they let the Persians go unchecked, if they let them destroy Athens and they let them keep parading their way through Greece, they would eventually gain too much strength, come after Sparta, and Spartans may possibly lose. So led by King Leonidas, this is that 300 battle, the Battle of Thermopylae. There actually wasn't just 300 soldiers for the Spartans and then 1,000,000 soldiers for the Persians. That's a gross historical inaccuracy. There were actually 6,000 Spartans versus 200,000 Persians. But when you think about it in war, and you're talking about face-to-face war, close combat war, where you have to literally look into the man's eyes while you kill him, that's still a big, big deficit. You're literally outnumbered almost 2 to 1. Over 2 to 1. You're outnumbered like closer to 3 to 1, right? What's 6 times? Wait, no. What's 6,000 times 3? What's 200 divided by? Actually, you're outnumbered like 60 to 1, something like that. I don't do math. Look it up. Actually, bam, right there, extra credit. What ratio to 1 did the Persians outnumber the Spartans? Whoever comes and tells me first from each class period tomorrow will get extra credit on their next quiz. So, but in the process of this whole thing, Athens is going to be burned to the ground, right? So, major battles of the Third Persian War were also the Strait of Salamis, which was a naval battle between the Persian fleet. They sunk the entire Persian force, right? They were forced to retreat. And then the Battle of Plataea, which is a year later, and the Persian forces were finally defeated. Now, the outcome, results, Athens is going to increase its status among the city-states with their major naval victories. Athens also, though, is going to create the first permanent alliance of the city-states with them at the head. I'm flipping. Hold on. Close the door. Sparta, not happy about this at all, right? So, the Delian League is going to be formed as well. The Delian League was actually an alliance headed by Pericles of Athens to defend from further Persian invasion. They collected dues from their members, which is a payment for membership. Now, the problems with it, Athens is going to be kind of short-sighted, and they're going to use the money to rebuild Athens for themselves. They're also only going to promote democracies. Now, we know Sparta's not a fan of this because they're led by 2 kings in the Council of Elders. Sparta is very, very upset. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I got another class coming in. Y'all have a good evening.